And we are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for clicking on. It is Eyes Open on the American Doofus channel. Greatly appreciate you taking a few moments and watching along. Uh, Starting out tonight, I'm going to hit this thing a couple of times. Long story short, they forgot that they are all brothers and sisters cohabitating the same planet. So they kind of became delusional and imagined these invisible borders, beliefs, and structures separating them, and started destroying each other and destroying the earth they live on. Instead of just living, sharing, creating, and evolving together. Something to think about. Hello, Fred. Thank you very much for clicking on there. And again, just something to think about. This is maybe what it should be. This is maybe what it could be, but this is definitely not where we're at in the world. Uh, Long story short, they forgot that they all brothers and sisters, and we're all on the same planet. And somewhere way back, and it is possibly even deeper now than it ever has been, became delusional and imagined these invisible borders, and we have these beliefs and we have these structures that separate us, and we destroy each other and we destroy the earth we're living on instead of living, sharing, caring, and evolving. Again, that is how I think it should be, and maybe that is how it could be. But unfortunately, that definitely is not how it is. So, what's going on around the world? Um, well, let's start. Let's start here at home with this latest from the Department of Homeland Security. Came out just a little bit ago, and DHS taps some of the world's most prominent critical infrastructure executives, technologists, civil rights leaders, policymakers to join the inaugural AI Safety and Security Board to advance AI's responsible development and deployment. All right. I know I feel better now, knowing that the cat's out of the bag on AI. We are, it's already too late, in my opinion. This came in 4 hours ago from Donald Trump on his Truth social media. He posted, I will pass gas anywhere, anytime, any place, anybody, anything, anyone, anyhow, anyway, anywho, anybody's guess, any given Sunday, witch hunt. Um, and that's one of the two major choices for president of the United States. Something to think about. Israel minister in defense and their finance minister, quote, moments before redemption. We must not hesitate. We must destroy Rafah, Nazareth, Del Arbalah, wipe out the memory of Amalek. There's no half measure. Rafah, Der Arbalah, Nazareth, absolute destruction. Okay, this went from, okay, this is going to be about getting rid of Hamas. And now the rhetoric from the Zionist members. Now, keep in mind, we talked about this a lot on this show. There's a difference between Israeli, Zionist, and Jewish. Okay, you can be all three. You don't, but just because you're one, it doesn't mean you're the other two. And there are a lot of Jewish people that are against what's going on in Palestine, and that has spilled over into America, as we know. And shelter in place order has been given. This came in 1 hour ago. Issued due to violent protests taking place at Virginia Commonwealth University, where riots are occurring. VCU alert, protest, violent protest, Monroe Park. Shelter in place. You can see the students pushing back against the police who have shown up in riot gear. Tear gas was used here, flashbangs, the wooden pallets that um, they were using for a barrier were quickly stripped away, and their encampment was taken down. Um, Things have calmed down since this at VCU, and several arrests were made. Now, this is just one of many places where things are erupting. Pardon me. Police on the radio at University of Texas in Austin yell, "We are being assaulted by flashbangs," quote unquote, on the radio. Man, pardon me. And we hear two booms a few blocks away. Uh, let's listen to that and allow me to get a drink here. I'm got something hanging on here. Back this back up. Thank you for staying with me.
Right here. There's been two booms. Okay, they're being assaulted by. Is it flash? Right here.
So one report is that the students were throwing flashbangs at the police. The other report was the police used flashbangs on students. Um, they did use pepper spray on students at the University of Texas in Austin. The International Criminal Court is being warned by members of Congress in both parties that arrest warrants for senior Israeli officials will be met with U.S. retaliation, and legislation to that effect is already in the works, Axios has learned. If that's not a major interference in world politics, I'm not sure what is. That's just my thought. Give you something to think about. What do you think about this? Police say three U.S. Marshals were shot and killed. A fourth officer has died. So four officers have been shot and killed while serving a warrant in Charlotte, North Carolina. 5 other officers were injured in the shootout. One suspect is deceased. 2 persons of interest are being questioned. They were trying to serve a warrant. The guy came out, started shooting at police. Police quickly took him down, eliminated him. And when police went up to check on him to make sure he was no longer a threat, somebody else in the house opened fire and took out the marshals and 1 police officer. So that was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mentioned that pepper spray had been used at University of Texas in Austin, and here is that UTA. Over 100 over 100 arrests were made. Again, what you're seeing here is it's very reminiscent of the Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, on and on and on, that we saw 4 years ago. But the treatment is a little bit different. The police are taking down the encampments, which they did back in 2000 as well. But one side is looking at it as this is a major infringement of freedom of speech, the First Amendment. the right to peacefully protest. I get that. However, um, when things like this happen, the line becomes blurry about, is this really a peaceful protest? And I know this is not going to be popular to say, but a lot of what's going on in campus, on these campuses, a lot of it is not, the people getting arrested aren't students at the colleges. Okay, there are outside influencers, outside agitators, whatever you want to call, outside organizers, whatever terms you want to use. There are people that aren't involved um, getting arrested. Murder suspect accused of eating a victim's face near Las Vegas Strip came in 7 hours ago. Colin Jex is the guy's name, 29. He's been charged with open murder. Um, First call came in, alerted police to an incident on Las Vegas Boulevard. And near Charleston Boulevard, a man was seen forcefully taking another man to the ground. Police did not respond. 45 minutes later, another call was made to the police reporting a distressing scene at a bus stop where one man was observed eating the face of another man. Um, Something to think about. Good time to remind everybody it is a dark world. Columbia University faculty link arms and form a wall in front of the entrance to the Gaza Solidarity encampment as hundreds of students encircle both lawns. Students remaining in the encampment were told they could face disciplinary action after 2 p.m. That indeed happened. Columbia and Colgate, I believe, I think it was Columbia and Colgate are the two schools that have now uh, begun suspending anyone taking part in the protests. Again, a very slippery slope we are on here, as our Constitution requires that we be allowed to have a voice, to have a public opinion, and to gather and protest peacefully. Uh, Saudi Arabia, this is what's going on in Saudi Arabia today. You remember Dubai last week. We saw the same things. And this is what happens when you try to play God. This is what happens when you try to control the weather. And for those that say, oh, there's nobody trying to control the weather, Saudi Arabia launches cloud seeding operation over 3 cities to increase rainfall. This was April 29th, 2022, over 2 years ago. So, yeah, they do. And yes, it happens. And a lot of this stuff's experimental, and they are losing control of it. I got some more weather stuff coming up. 50 or so protesters cowered together in the center. These are the people that are trying to encamp. And what the campuses are, the messages most of the campuses are giving is, it's okay to protest. You're not going to camp there. You're not going to create this this safe zone of liberty, whatever terms are being used on the various campuses. You can come and protest if you have a permit, and but you're not going to camp there. So that's what's going on from one side to the other side. The student side is, you're stopping us from peacefully protesting, and you can see they all locked arms. They made it really difficult for the police to take them out, and thus you get some of the imagery that we've been seeing. This is at Indiana University, about 35 miles south of me. Hundreds of protesters joined the encampment at Dunn Meadow after the faculty and grad worker union rally at Bryan Hall, one of the largest crowds at Dunn Meadow since the encampment began. And again, yesterday, Indiana State Police came in and took it out. We'll see what happens. We'll keep monitoring that. Weather modification, linked to the famous U.S. Air Force owning the weather by 2025 paper that came out in 1996. Here is that link. I recommend you check it out. Paper discusses pretty much everything happening now. The weather is being manipulated, and it's been in the works for quite some time. Why would we do that? Why? Well, hang with me. I got some other stuff to show you here. Most people don't know that in '97, the U.S. military said the HARP can modify the weather. It's their words, not mine. HARP is the high frequency active auroral research program, HAARP, and potential weather capability modifications. You degrade the enemy forces, flood the lines of communication, you reduce PGM, you decrease the comfort level if it's constantly raining over your or freezing, or you got massive giant hail, which we'll show you coming up. And then this is what it can do for friendly forces. Maintain and improve the local area of conflict, maintain visibility, maintain comfort levels. Makes you can choose your battle space environment with storm modification, space weather. So our country hasn't been telling us, the truth for a long time about a lot of things, including the existence of possible other species. This is tornadoes. Again, we're talking weather modification, and we've had massive tornadoes. It's not that does not happen in our country, but they've been following the same track, and there have been some radar indicators that these storms were possibly zapped. We've talked about it on here before. Direct energy weapons, giant radar stations. We found out not only can they receive, but they also transmit, and they can be modified. Nothing we haven't been talking about or wasn't theorized all the way back in the 1950s. Anyway, so massive tornado, you see a streak of lightning in the distance, and then something, they're saying it's a semi truck. I don't think it is, but something massive comes falling out of the sky right in front of this semi, and he ended up crashing, unfortunately, but was unhurt, fortunately. Russia just sent a warning to Ukraine, USA, France, and the UK. If NATO sends troops to Ukraine to defeat Russia, nukes will hit American decision-making centers and launch sites. France will be disarmed in an instant. And I apologize to any Irish. The British Isles will go underwater. He says we've got the technology to do it. And if there is no Russia or Putin in the world, there will be no need for a world. They've been on this saber rattling for a very, very long time. We've shown on here that they've got these unmanned submarine, nuclear armed unmanned submarines, and they've been doing the saber rattling for a while. They don't really want to risk destroying the entire world. At least we hope they don't. However, they do want to destroy us, and the easiest way to do that is by having massive conflicts on our campuses and in our cities, and having our economy fail, and having us at each other's throats, destroy us from within, and then attack with cells of people that have come into this country to do us harm. And not everybody coming here illegally is here to do us harm. And I'm not against immigration. I'm all for legal immigration, even having been married to as far as having been married to a Canadian that became a U.S. citizen. Um, but not everybody that's come across that border is here to do us to be part of our society. All right, and if you believe that, okay, you have that right. The way they're going to take us down is they're going to devalue our dollar. BRICS has conducted $260 billion in trade settlements without using the US dollar. It has begun. Um, the idea of no currency, that the only form of currency is everything's online. That I mean, I'm kind of I'm that way now, but I don't have any kind of money. And most of my stuff's done by a card now. Um, but they're wanting to get it to where everything is controlled and done by a card or a sign on your forehead or on your wrist. If you know, you know. Um, an implant, a chip. But the idea is to control everybody and everything. And with AI, that may not be as far down the road as we think. Israel has instructed its embassies abroad to prepare for a severe anti Semitic backlash should the International Criminal Court issue warrants against top Israeli leaders. If you're just joining us, we've talked about this a few minutes back, that the United States has threatened the International Criminal Court that there will be sanctions, there will be, I don't understand how we. I mean, I know why we're linked to Israel. I get that, but that's not going to put us in favor with the rest of the world. It's going to make us seem as bullies. Okay, this is something local here. This is from about 10 miles away from me. This is in Indianapolis, Indiana, at Post Road, right on the very east side of Indianapolis. So again, that was in Indianapolis, 1 a.m. Post Road and 21st Street, and the guy was getting ready to talk about Post Road and how important it was because it went into the Fort Benjamin Harrison Army base, vital base back in World War II. He didn't get a chance as gunfire broke out. It's just a reminder that you never know. You just never know when something's going to happen, and it's always good to try to when you're out, try to keep your head on a swivel. Situational awareness. I'm not trying to make anybody paranoid. Just it can happen anywhere, anytime. Sanford, Florida, Saturday night, a 16-year-old shot 10 people in a bar, and one of those people was Tank Dell, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, just out having a couple of beers and ends up getting shot. It's a dark world. I'm going to pause on this for just another moment here. If you're just joining us, you probably missed this at the very start. Something to think about. Long story short, they forgot that all brothers and sisters, that we're all brothers and sisters. We forgot that. Cohabitating the same planet. we became delusional, imagined that there are invisible borders. Well, there are borders, and they're necessary now. Uh, it didn't have to be that way. Beliefs and structures separating them and started destroying each other and the earth they live on, and we're guilty of all of that. Instead of just living, sharing, creating, and evolving together. That's how it should be. That's how it should have been. That's how it could have been. But it is not how it is. And we have to deal with how it is. We cannot be we can't put our heads in the sand and pretend that things are really, really wrong. Arab and Muslim officials meet in Saudi Arabia and call for sanctions on Israel. Again, this comes from BRICS News. So United States, Israel, France, and Great Britain are going to be the four primary targets when everything starts, and it's not going to be good. We've mentioned weather manipulation if you're just joining us, and these are a shower of giant hailstones falls from the sky in Guangdong, China. Um, just give you an idea. I got a couple other shots as well, but you can tell the size by the splashes, and if not, we'll come back. I got something else. I'm talking about a group wanting to control every single aspect of everyone's life. Award-winning journalist Alex Newman, unelected globalists, including Bill Gates, the UN, and the WEF, are building a giant digital gulag for all of humanity. They're using digital CBDCs, digital ID, digital health certificates to build a control system that will not just be able to survey and monitor everything you do on an unprecedented scale, but also to manipulate what you do. Mechanism for controlling humanity. Wake up, eyes open. Some things to think about. The unthinkable. It's time to remember that it's not how it could be or how it should be. We got to deal with how it is. This could be a problem. Here's the percentage of millionaires: 1% of America, 50% of Congress. Now, who are those people going to make decisions to benefit? Who are these people going to make decisions? What decisions? Who are they going to benefit? This, us? No. There's your problem. United States and Ukraine are working on a security agreement that would give Ukraine funding for the next 10 years. Keep in mind that a lot of this funding that is labeled Ukraine funding is actually going to restock our supplies that we've already sold them. In order to have a military industrial based economy, which we do, you got to have constant war, and you're not taught that in school. Just something to think about, and just my opinion. As of the 28th, this was concerning. There were 3 TACMO nuclear command control and communication planes, one flying off of the eastern seaboard, one flying in the Gulf, and one flying off the west coast. And these planes connect with submerged ballistic missile submarines, and that we also had detected planes up there, planes that detect submarines off our coast. So the watch is real. The reaction to the saber rattling by Russia is causing us to react. Massive wedge tornado south of Madisonville, Texas. Um, again, and tornadoes again today, and possibly tornadoes again tomorrow. Um, it is the beginning of tornado season, but there hasn't been an F5 tornado in 11 years, and there might have been 4 um, in the past 2 days. Representative Tim Burchett says arrogant bureaucrats are stonewalling members of Congress in classified UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs. Um, the American public needs to know we don't have a right to keep this from them because they're funding it. Um, yes, we are. But this cover up's been going on for a really long time, and I'm going to dive into it. It may be tomorrow during the day. I've got a couple of extended things I'm going to tease coming up here. China says the United States days of bullying the world are coming to an end. Uh, Something we should possibly consider and think about. Tel Aviv, an absolute tsunami of citizens calling for the immediate resignation of Netanyahu and his genocidal regime. Um, he is not going to resign, as we've been talking. In case you're just joining us, Benjamin Netanyahu will probably be a warrant for his arrest will probably come out from the International Community Court or International Criminal Court, despite U.S. threatened pressure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is one of the feel-good things. You know, you got to have a feel-good thing every once in a while in days like this when everything is really bad. A guy was on the beach playing with his dog, and a seal saw them, and the dog got there first. But the seal wants to play along. And the dog got there first again. I don't know. I've never seen that anything like that before. Maybe you have, but again, that's one of the fun, lighthearted things that when you talk about um, people eating other people's faces at bus stops, and you got to have the lighthearted thing. And we need to remember what is hidden in Antarctica. What is actually there? Why are we not allowed to go there? Um, Again, our economy is going to come under attack. I mean, it is under attack, and don't be surprised, if if the mainstream doesn't start telling you here soon that hey, things are about to get really squirrely. Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Senegal, Algeria, and Saudi Arabia have begun withdrawing their national gold reserves from the United States. Um, if our debt comes due, we do not have the ability to pay. Mahmoud Abbas, said at the World Economic Forum um, something fantastic. He said, Israel has the right to complete security, which is, not going to be popular. But anyway, he says Israel has the right to complete security, and the Palestine has the right to self-determination and an independent state. So, um, Abbas openly called for an independent state at the Economic Forum, a two-state solution, um, something that Biden has been trying to leverage, something that Trump tried to leverage when he was president, um, and it does not fit in with the message of the rest of the Muslim world. So we'll see how that plays out. I think he's trying to survive, and he's trying to save as many of his people as he can when when Israel is decimating Gaza. International Criminal Court preparing to issue arrest warrants for Prime Minister and other top senior government officials, as well as Israeli soldiers. Again, I'm going to do a UFO thing, an alien thing. What are these other creatures? Are they real? Are they here? Um, and I may do that tomorrow. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, hit the notification bell so you do know when we're on. Um, Former NASA employee, we have a lot of high resolution photos of UFOs, of alien spaceships, and I can testify before Congress. Um, and this was back in 2001. This is a supervisor at an American national park. Um, After numerous National Guard visits and other strange events, he says, quote, I believe that some heavily guarded secrets are located inside state and national parks. I have the keys to almost every building. I have access code to almost every lock. So we're going to take just a minute and a half here and give him a listen. Make sure we get the volume up. Give me a chance to take a drink. You're not hearing the video? Hang on. You're not hearing the sound? Hang on. Uh, no sound on the video. Okay. Hang on. Browser's lost connection. Uh, restart your. They're trying to. Okay. I got a lot of stuff on here. People aren't going to want me to talk about. I hope I haven't. Let me see if I'm still showing as on here. I'm still showing on here, I think. Okay. Um, Basically, the guy's just saying there are. He thinks there are a lot of things underground that are covered by national parks, which would be the last place the public would think the government would would hide something. Um, I got to go back and share, otherwise I'll be. Oh no. All right, here we go. I'm going to go on to the next one and hope I'm still broadcasting and hope you'll be able to hear this. Again, I'm going to do something maybe tomorrow, and I'm going to play this entire thing from Phil Schneider. Very controversial. This he's a geologist and an engineer. His father was part of Los Alamos that built the nuclear bomb. And he was exposing the existence of extraterrestrial or interdimensional or whatever terms, um, other species other than human and some human like. 13 different, I believe, 13 different species is what he says in this entire report. And this guy got his fingers chopped off in an altercation with the extraterrestrials that are underground, according to him. And he came out with this in 1995. In 1996, he was found dead from what appeared to be a military style execution. Was the eclipse not an eclipse, but Project Pegasus? And this is kind of a deep conspiracy thing that again we'll hit maybe tomorrow. The Antarctic anomaly has returned. I didn't report on this. I did not report on this the first 4 times. Okay. Something similar to this, but not exactly like this, has happened 4 times previous. This is the 5th time. Something is emitting from Antarctica and creating these visible waves that are registering as ocean waves. But you can see these waves are going in all different directions, and instead of radiating like you would think, they're going backwards, they're going out, and it is a glitch in the system according to everybody else, but it's happened 5 times. I would have thought as much attention as it originally drew, that it would have been fixed the first time. I don't know, something to think about. This happened yesterday at 3:40 a.m. A vehicle attempted to enter Expeditionary Base Little Creek in Fort Story in Norfolk, Virginia. Ran the front gate, causing security forces to place the base on lockdown, and they raised the hydraulic access barriers. The vehicle subsequently collided with the access barriers, caught fire, and exploded. So it was probably an improvised exploding vehicle device. Base fire service was activated, and the driver declared dead at the scene. Incident currently being investigated by NCIS and other federal agencies. Now, this is not the actors on the TV show. This is the actual NCIS in charge of that investigation. North Korea introduced a new concept of camouflage. They had a parade in front of their dictator Kim Jong-un and featured a fleet of multiple rocket launch systems disguised as civilian vehicles, semi-trucks, cement trucks, bird trucks, tractors. It's kind of crazy, actually.
죽어서는 전하의 보존길만 달릴 수 없기에 보습 대신 강력한 힘을 재운 무장 장비들을 이끌고 결연히 이 광장에 나섰습니다.
Everybody in these countries starving, but the focus is to make ice cream trucks that can double as missile launch systems. Um, it's nuts. All that, all this does is the United States sees this and says, okay, now we got to bomb every tractor, every truck, every vehicle, because we don't, you've shown us that your intent is to have civilian vehicles as weapon systems. So that's not going to work out well. Strange underground tremors being reported across Germany, which is not typically known for seismic activity. Geologists puzzled and unable to provide an official explanation. Cause remains unknown. The cause might be a direct energy weapon. This is one we're going to get into tomorrow as well. Santiago, Chile, in the 1950s, an airliner landed after 35 years. Okay, it took off for Santiago, Chile, and was gone for 35 years. When it landed, there were allegedly 92 skeletons on board. And again, we'll play that for tomorrow. Actually, I'll go ahead and play this tonight because it's relatively short, and it's one of those, I wonder if this really happened or if this was all a hoax. And I'll play it again tomorrow at the end.
Imagine being on a plane, and suddenly the trip lasts 35 years. You boarded in 1954, and you arrived in 1989. What you just heard isn't fantasy. It actually happened a few years back. Precisely on September 4th, 1954, Flight 513 from Santiago Airlines kinda soared from the German city called Aachen. On board, there were 88 passengers and 4 crew members, making it a total of 92 people. The flight was headed to Brazil, exactly towards Porto Alegre, meaning it had to cross the entire Atlantic Ocean. But before the flight could reach its destination, something unexpected happened. When the plane took off from the airport just a few hours later, it completely disappeared from existence, and there was nothing on the radar at all. One day, on October 12th, 1989, without any warning or radar detection, the missing plane landed safely at the airport after more than 35 years. The question is, where had the plane been all this time? You want the shocking news? Drop me a follow and wait for part 2.
Okay. And part 2.
Immediately after the plane landed at the airport, the security team rushed to the plane site and started searching for the plane. The real shock hit them. When they entered the plane, they found 92 skeletons seated in the plane's seats. So they entered the cockpit, of course, to see who was piloting the plane. They opened the cockpit door and found the captain. But the captain was just a human skeleton, perched in his seat and still clutching the plane's steering. The most widely accepted theory among people trying to solve the mystery of Flight 513's disappearance is the wormhole theory. It's possible that Flight 513 entered a time hole, meaning the plane traveled through time. In 1916, Einstein studied equations about the fabric of the universe in his general theory of relativity. He found that there are gaps in space that have an insanely strong gravitational pull and just gulp down anything that passes by them. These gaps are what are known as black holes. Turns out, Einstein's equations and predictions were right as time rolled on to the year 2019, when one of Einstein's predictions was confirmed by snapping the first ever real photo of a black hole by NASA. The controversy was brewing between those who doubted the incident entirely and those who believed that something paranormal happened. But the question remains on who landed the plane. Many enthusiasts of mystery and enigmas tried to solve the riddle of Flight 513, but no one succeeded. What do you think?
It was actually referenced, Flight 513 was actually referenced in, what was it? What was the UFO movie called? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Flight 513 is referenced in there, as well as the Navy pilots that were lost over the Bermuda Triangle. Doug McGregor, retired U.S. Army colonel, issues a stark warning to every American. The world's globalist elites are crafting plans for totalitarian control over our lives. Again, it's not just me telling you this stuff, folks. There are other voices that are putting this information out there. Police protected Patriot Front, who this person says, definitely not feds, trust us, and allowing them to load passengers into the back of a U-Haul truck. Is it normal for police to facilitate criminal activity? It is illegal to transport people in mass like that without seat belts, without public transportation licenses. So, but I think the cops just wanted to get them out of there. Where were they? They were in Charleston, West Virginia. We'll get to that in just a moment. I don't know. I don't know if this is real. Because copyright. But this is the same place that this massive hail has been falling. They had a tornado yesterday, and this foam stuff has been falling out of the air over there. I don't know. Hey, again, I don't know why you would manipulate this, but I could see this being a side effect of attempted weather manipulation. Los Angeles nuclear detonation war game is coming up. A coalition of federal, state, local, and military agencies will come together in the Los Angeles area to learn strategies to make managing a nuclear detonation, quote, unlike the Cold War, many people will survive nuclear war, and we need to be ready for that. This is definitely not a regular exercise. So, again, they're talking about the possibility of what would happen if a nuclear bomb lands in Los Angeles. Everything's wiped out. They're in the little yellow thing in the middle. Everybody is probably burnt to death right here, but some buildings may stand. You're probably going to die of radiation here. If you don't look at it, you may not have any impact out here other than radiation sickness if you stay in that area. So don't be surprised if we don't start hearing about what to do in case of a nuclear detonation. It's a dark world. This is a tornado in Saudi Arabia. This happened yesterday, and shortly after this happened, the flooding rains that we showed earlier came. And again, the Saudis have been very open about their use of cloud seeding and trying to manipulate the weather. This is a hailstone that fell in China. And you can see, obviously Chinese aren't known for being giant people, but you get a kind of an idea, and you can see others that have fallen out here as well. These massive, giant hailstones. I mean, and we got some more coming up too. All right, here's another little just quick break. Somebody said, hey, you got to play this. Just dogs having fun. How can you not like dogs having fun? And you got to because we deal with some pretty intense stuff on here. If you just joined us, go back and check out the fact that there's a guy in Las Vegas that was arrested for killing a guy today and then eating his face. So yeah, you need a couple of few seconds of just dogs just running and jumping off a frickin' bridge into the water just to have some fun. And we need to remember to have fun too, because the darker it gets, the more the less fun is going to be an option. So take that with however you may. Hail smashed through the iron roof in Guizhou in China. You can see the holes there. About 50 IU Police Department and Indiana State Police officers forcefully detained peaceful protesters. This was on Saturday. Keep your eye on the kid with the purple hat here. State cop comes up and takes two of them down. And when you get in and you start pushing around that close, you can access police weapons, and they're just, they're not gonna take that. So again, you can see pushing real close. There's a cop's gun right there with a taser, and this kid is literally pushing on the police. So he's going to go to jail for assaulting an officer, and despite the fact that this guy grabs him and takes him and fellow student down. Here's another sample of the hail from China. Imagine I know Lori Arnold's got a hail helmet, but because they get some freaking hail down in Texas, but I don't know if a hail helmet would work for these kind of things. And this is also possibly biblical. Prophecies warn of stones falling from the sky. Arizona State University fraternity boys tore down the protest camp at ASU while police watched. The frat guys came up organized and told the cops, "You protect us and keep them away, and we'll get rid of this stuff for you." I was telling a really good friend that, the similar situation at a university I went to back during the Iran hostage situation. There were frat boys on campus looking for anybody. It didn't matter what country they were from. Just, if you're not a white American, you're Iranian, was the attitude some of them had. Multi-vortex tornado crosses the highway. This is just a reminder that massive tornadoes, Indiana, we're probably going to get hit here May 5th, May 6th with some really massive weather. One of the radar areas that if they are indeed using radar to pump these systems up, one of them is just a little bit north and east of Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, I'm pretty sure. But we're going to be experiencing these tornadoes, and hopefully nothing is massive. But I think they're, the United States, keep this in mind, folks. The United States government always experiments on us first. My friends in the Black community will be able to testify to that. Anyway, this is one of those dot connecting kind of things, okay? Pittsburgh is now facing crippling police shortages. The department is no longer responding to 911 calls for robberies, harassment, or theft. A suburb of Pittsburgh, Verona, now has 0 police officers on duty at night. Pittsburgh is, it's Pittsburgh we talked about this a few weeks ago that this was going to happen. Pittsburgh is not the only city that is facing police shortages. And some of these cities that are suffering from police shortages are getting overwhelmed with people coming across the border illegally, and connect the dots. Something to think about. Um, Another U.S. military flight landed on Haiti on Saturday with humanitarian aid to support healthcare in the capital. The third flight, and we'll see how all this works out. Our buddy Chris will be back on here real soon. We talked about all of this on here, and if you want to verify what Chris and I have been telling you, there's an article on CNN, 5 hours, what he had to say. You're basically going to hear the same thing we said, that as long as the people that control the country now, which are military, if they are not included in the talks, then you're not going to you're not going to control Haiti, and that's one of the most important things that's in the article, and we've been saying that. Of course, you have to question: do they do they really have their best interest at heart, or is this just a power grab, like so many others? And that's kind of both sides of the coin, as far as that goes. Um, Again, thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate it. You're just a white person.